Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. We got another episode of the AP Film Room here on the Arrowhead Pride YouTube page. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching, I guess I should say. Without my mic today, so I'm a little more leaned into the computer, than before. But so you'll probably see the ugliness a little more. The pores a little better. Don't have that good of a camera though, so who knows? But it is Ron Kopp Jr. I'm the lead analyst at ArrowheadPride.com. As always, I'm very glad to be joined by my boys, Talon and Bryan, my guys, breaking down everything. We just love talking football, love talking Chiefs football. That's why we're here. Talon, I know you have two football teams you're really loving right now, your Hawks and your Chiefs. But I don't know. We're about 5 days removed from the Chiefs Chargers game. Just how you feeling about the season so far? 2-0. Just what are your thoughts as we get into week 3?
Yeah, man, I'll take what I can get from KU, man. And keep it rolling. But as far as the Chiefs go, yeah, the win back on Thursday was such a big win. It was a gritty win. It was an ugly win.
Yep.
They made plays when it mattered the most, especially on defense. Jalen Watson's pick six was probably going to be the highlight or one of the highlights of the 2022 season. But yeah, it was definitely a win that they needed. And on a short week, they went out and got it done. And 10-day break to face a Colts team that's on the ropes.
Bryan, when you're looking at this Chiefs team, man, 2 weeks in, 2 wins. How you feeling?
Well, you can't ask for anything more, but I think we all watch different parts of the game. Obviously, I focused on offense, and we're about to get into that. You guys focused on a lot of defense, but it feels almost like even better than it did Thursday, having reviewed the game, because I know, speaking for the offense, we're going to get into it, but man, they had their share of struggles, and it really goes back to, I feel like, that one play, Jalen Watson, shout out, and a belated happy birthday. But like that play, man, a 14-point swing, that literally, it made all the difference. And in a game in which, in a lot of ways, the Chiefs were outplayed, but all that matters is that they are 2-0. They're heading into a game where they have a great chance to get to 3-0, and it's 1 week at a time to be the cliche football guy. But like I said at the beginning, you can't really ask for anything more as long as they're stacking up dubs.
Man, we've all coached here. I mean, we all know what we all like to say to our kids, after maybe not a great performance, but they get the win. Hey, winning ugly is better than losing pretty, and it's fun. It honestly is fun to break down a game, see all their flaws. When the end result was a dub, right? It makes it a lot easier to kind of say, hey, this was bad. It didn't cost you a win. So that's what we're doing here. We're gonna pick apart the team that is 2-0 atop the AFC West by themselves. And Bryan, you're right. I'm gonna throw it to you right away and talk some offense, because that's what the people like. The people like to talk offense. They want to know how Mahomes did, how the receivers did. While you pull it up, man, I'll just one stat that blew me away when I saw it. Although it's not surprising when you watch the game, but Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdes-Scantling combined for 10 targets and 23 yards together. Receivers just were not really getting much done, and the offense kind of stalled because of it. So Bryan, kind of take it away and tell us kind of what to take away about the offense from the game.
Yeah, so starting out, I think coming out of the game, we were all kind of worried, like, is this a wide receiver issue? What's going on? Now, you do have to remember the Chargers, not just this year, but for like the last 3 or 4 years, they have been the toughest defense for Mahomes and Reed to handle. Almost every game, it's fighting tooth and nail. But really, when you go back and look at this, and I talked a lot about it in the article that I released, it started with a less than stellar game plan. I don't think they were super prepared for all the different kinds of pressures the Chargers brought. And it showed. The offensive line struggled. I have no doubt in my mind it was the worst collective offensive line performance we've seen since this group kind of started playing together last year. And that's left to right. I mean, nobody really, I would say, just totally excelled. Orlando Brown did better than the rest, but was not perfect. And what happened is, as the game went along, Mahomes was getting hit a lot, and it led to, him starting to make some poor decisions, not trying to necessarily extend plays all the time, even though that's what we're about to see. But when you see those dropped interceptions, it was Mahomes just saying, I'm getting rid of this ball, whatever it takes, and it ended up in harm's way a few times. So with this play here, and I'll go back for a second, they've drawn this up for Juju to get a touchdown. Okay, they motion him over. Mahomes sees how the coverage is rotating. The idea is this quick little, I don't even know, some sort of angle route Juju runs. They're going to try to hit him right in front of the goal line. The problem is, at this point in the game, Mahomes had been being pressured so much and he had been hit so much that he just kind of locked on to Juju, as you saw there at the start of the play. And you'll see it again from this angle. Whereas I think in a lot of different situations, maybe he would have been a little more, thoughtful to, okay, I'm going to look right, and then I'm going to come back to Juju after a split second and have a better window. That didn't really happen. And so what ends up happening, this linebacker, Mahomes' eyes take him right into the throwing window. Okay, at that point, he's got to take off and just make something happen. And, of course, maybe his best play of the game, second best play of the game, his other touchdown throw was better. But it was incredible. But I think it's a cool play because it shows, okay, this is what was going wrong in the game. He was affected by all the pressure and the way that he approached almost every play in the latter parts of it. But there were a couple of touchdowns where he was able to just kind of do what he naturally does and end up making it work. And this is just, I mean, come on. Like, he seems to do this to the Chargers every year. I remember he did it in 2018, a very similar play to Demarcus Robinson, where he kind of escapes right and just seems like it never would end until he eventually chucks a touchdown. But to the overall point, good result, but the process leading up, you find to be a little bit concerning because if you read the article I just put out, like I said, it was a struggle in a lot of ways, and the offensive line is going to definitely, they've already looked at the film. They know that they have things to correct. So, but yeah.
Talon, while you bring up that other play, I just want your take. I mean, you see that pocket. I mean, he should be staying in there, right? I mean, that's not there's not enough pressure to be escaping like that. How when it's Mahomes, how do you balance that, or how frustrated do you get, or do you just like, hey, you know what, I trust him to get it done?
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming an issue now because he's, before it was like, well, it's a problem. Now it's an issue if it's continuing on in his fourth, fifth year almost. So yeah, he needs to get that cleaned up because his pocket presence can be everything, and that O-line has a lot to do with that. He needs to trust those guys. Yeah, they had a bad week, but against the Cardinals, he was pretty clean, and only sacked, I think, once or twice in this one. So really, the O-line's doing their job, and his mobility around in the back is a benefit to his game. And obviously, we get to see plays like this. But yeah, had he looked right and looked off and opened cleared that linebacker out a little bit, he may have been able to hit Juju on that. But so yeah, you'd like to see the fundamentals, from the get-go be better. But the play was spectacular.
All right, Brian, what do we got next?
Yeah, so next up is the Justin Watson touchdown. So his other touchdown throw. And again, where they find themselves in the field, about the 40-yard line there going in, the Chargers decide on a 3rd and 10, they're going to send another blitz, okay? Chiefs have decided to run, as you see here, multiple vertical routes, so they need time. And, they do keep some extra blocking in. Juju, he even stays in for a split second to help out there here towards the bottom. But ultimately what happens is you need somebody, one of these receivers, either Watson or Marquez Valdez-Scantling, to step up and win a one-on-one type matchup on the outside. And Watson's faced with J.C. Jackson. You will see, as I let it play here, the two corners for the Chargers, they play these routes totally differently. It's the same route. It's a post corner route that Demarcus Robinson really excelled with in his time for the Chiefs. And J.C. Jackson, as great as he is, he just didn't really play that quite the way that you would want. Ended up flipping his hips. His eyes were off Watson. And, when you're responsible for him one-on-one, basically, that's never a spot you want to be in as a corner. Taking your eyes off the receiver, he gets flipped around. And that's good separation, no doubt. And it would have been a lot easier to throw, but, of course, Mahomes he had to navigate some pressure. But as you'll see from this angle, he does a much better job than earlier in a lot of the reps throughout the game. I will give him a lot of credit. He's stepping up so much more, which generally speaking, I think that's a good thing. I think you'd much rather see that than, oh, he's just always going out the back. Even though, I think there's a time and place for both, and he'll figure that out. But needless to say, the throw is just, it's one that maybe him and one or two other quarterbacks can make. And of course, it shows, it highlights how good he is, keeping his eyes upfield. Jackson, he even kind of makes this close at the end. He gets a hand in the way. It's not a gimme necessarily, and of course, maybe it would have been if Mahomes had a better platform to set up from. But moving forward, I think it just speaks to, Justin Watson's earning himself some keep, and he's going to get more playing time by doing things like this. Because if you can route up one of the top corners in the league for a touchdown when they needed it most, then you can probably do it any week, any time. So, that being said, this was one of those 2 or 3 plays that made the difference. And, Mahomes kind of saving the day, even on one of his toughest nights.
Shout out Jerick McKinnon on that play. Great pass block. Play it back real quick one more time. Just for the people stepping up. Wiley has to pass that off, right, because that outside rusher's coming from the edge, and McKinnon just blows the linebacker up, giving Mahomes that space. It's nice to see. It is nice to see. I think all the running back positions, or all the running backs, had a good game Thursday. But we want to switch to the defense. We're done talking about the team that didn't win the game for the team. It's the defense that won the game for the Chiefs last Thursday. Not just a 99-yard pick six, as we all saw, but there was a lot more. And Talon, I'm going to throw it to you here. Let's talk about the big boys up front. Let's talk about some defensive linemen, because, we saw a good amount of them. There was a lot of names that were, around and making or taking snaps for the Chiefs on Thursday. What did you see from the Chiefs defensive line?
Yeah, the D line was really, they relied on just those 4. Didn't blitz a whole lot. Relied on the interior pressure to cause most havoc, and it did. Chris Jones had a heck of a day. Mike Dana was utilized inside, which I love. We'll go ahead and get this clip going. But as we're going to see here, the defensive line really had a day with just, like I said, with just those 4. And here we see them exposing a rookie who was actually having a pretty good day early on. Zion Johnson, the first-round rookie out of Boston College, starting at right guard. But here we can kind of see them see him getting exposed by Dana's quickness and lateral speed. He's not even really able to get any hands on him before Dana's making a beeline for the pocket. And then you see on the opposite side, Chris Jones' attention. He gets that center and guard double team, and it just opens up the lane for Mike Dana so well. And it's just the impact that Chris Jones has, just his presence on the field. Look at that. You can see the gap that Mike Dana has to work with, and he just gets Zion out of position, and it's over from there. He gets in the face. Now this actually ends up being a completion, but the pressure was there, and I think this is actually the play that he was injured on.
Yes. Yeah.
So very pivotal moment in the game toward the end when the Chargers were trying to make a comeback there. But it just shows that the game plan was, especially late, to try to get in the face and really make a straight line pressure for Herbert, as opposed to trying to get around those tackles and Slater and Pipkins and
right.
else had to step in.
Yeah, right. And I like you pointing out that that's Zion Johnson, because the Chiefs recognized how well Zion Johnson was playing. Chris Jones actually started playing more on the opposite side of the defensive line, over that left guard rather than the right guard. As the game went on, because I think he was having, some good success against Chris Jones. But yeah, you mentioned it, man. When you get a guard on an island like that, he doesn't have any help. It makes the life a lot easier for a defensive tackle. Bryan, if you want to come in on this too, just I like the Dana rushing from the inside. Just what did you like about this rep, or just the D line in general?
So that's it right there. Like it is great coaching, finding a way to raise his ceiling a little bit, because these first couple of years, it's like, okay, he's a solid rotational defensive end. nothing flashy, just kind of does the bare minimum, but smart player, all those things. They've found a way now to make him a viable threat as a pass rusher in certain situations. And this is something that could help in the future against any team. But, the Chargers, like you've shown right here, okay, this guard who was playing really well may not be able to handle speed that great. So they might look to get Dana. They might look to get Wharton matched up on him more. I'm excited about it because, anytime they're in situations to wrestle a passer, it feels like you look at the lineup across the board there. I mean, Jones, Dana in that alignment, Karlaftis, Clark, any one of those guys is capable of putting together a good rush and winning, and all you need is one guy, two guys to have an impact. So if they stay healthy, I like, the upside of that.
Yeah, no, I really liked, the Carlos Dunlap piece too. Him playing pretty well on Thursday was absolutely something else. I was definitely happy to see. So, what else we got here, Talon?
Yeah, so I wanted to highlight Jones here, and not necessarily one of his bigger plays. And he had those 2 sacks that were really huge, of course. But I just wanted to see, and man, I hate on Jones a lot, and personal chats with friends and even some of the Slack messages. I feel like he takes plays off, but I want to highlight this one here because this one's definitely not a play he takes off. He keeps working, has active hands, and this is again against Zion Johnson. You kind of see Zion's doing a pretty good job of keeping Jones out of the pocket and keeping him away from the quarterback. But at the end, Jones just finally wins the rep, gets Johnson's hands down, gets his hands up and bats that ball down, or really bats it up. And gives Willie Gay a chance to make an interception here, but it ends up just falling harmlessly down. But yeah, I think Chris Jones, this is a good rep. I hate on him a lot. I don't know if I do it a lot publicly, but I felt like watching film. I thought, okay, that's a rep. That's a good rep. I'm happy with that one.
I think a lot of people share that sentiment with Chris. And, I don't want to say it's maybe not hating. I don't, but he does. He is an up and down player at times with his effort. I think it's just hard sometimes with defensive linemen. But at the same time, they're NFL players, and you can't really make that excuse. But hey, you didn't make, you don't have that excuse this time. Definitely a great rep from the defensive line there as well. So, I mean, the Chiefs' defense was the story of the game, right, Talon? I mean, I don't know. Do you have more defensive line clips?
Yeah, I got one more we can highlight, and it's a rookie highlight, but it's George Karlaftis. I just wanted to kind of take a look at him real quick and give him a roll it. So this is toward the end of the game. I think this was actually leading up to the Chris Jones sack.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, a really good play and rep from Karlaftis. He stays home, bites a little bit on that play action fake with the fullback, but at the end he's able to maintain his angle on the quarterback, get his hands up, not really bite too hard on the pump fake. Well, I guess he does leave his feet pretty good, but nonetheless, it's a good rep. And I'm happy that Karlaftis was able to have a good rep like that against the Chargers, because he still hasn't recorded that first sack. He still hasn't been able to get that first one in the books. I was kind of hoping to see that Thursday night. But Karlaftis had a nice game, and he's definitely an impact rookie so far for this defense.
Well, I stole your screen from you because I actually have that play up as well, because I'm going to start talking about the defense here. And that was one of the first things I wanted to talk about, Talon. You smart man, you know so well what to hit on. And honestly, it is a great play by Karlaftis, but I honestly wanted to hit on the strategy of it actually. And the thing about it is the Chargers were killing the. Oh, geez, I just kicked Talon out on accident. The Chargers were killing the Chiefs on play action in the first half. And that was all where their big plays were coming from, right? Because the Chiefs were respecting the run. The Chiefs were trying to stop the run. But on these 2 plays early in the second half, you see that they made it a little bit of an adjustment. Talon, I definitely just kicked you out on accident. So I just want the people to know that was all me that just booted you. But I'm talking here about just the strategy of it and how the Chiefs did adjust in the second half to respecting the play action boot a little more. I think they just wanted to stop the run a little too much in the first half, and it gave Herbert some opportunities off play action to have some space to throw. Mike, that first Mike Williams touchdown was off of play action, or not touchdown. The one that got down to the 1 yard line was off of play action. But you mentioned you noticed the Karlaftis play, but on the second play too, watch Willie Gay here at the bottom of the screen right here. Watch him just kind of be right there to be at the back end of the play action to take away that quick. They're faking the split zone. Where they have that back block. Gay is wide enough to where he knows it's not necessarily going to be a run. He's prepared to take on that block, but he's playing wide enough to respect the play action. So if Herbert does try to get outside of him, he can be there. But he also just gets in his way. He gets in his throwing lane, right, and completely slows that down. Not only does he prevent that quick pass right there wherever it does have a little space, it allows Bolton to catch up, right? And so even if that pass does get there, Bolton's right there to make the tackle. And obviously the pass rush gets there. It allows the pass rush to get there too. So those two plays, I'll let them run through again. We're just back-to-back plays. And again, they did lead up to the Chris Jones sack. Just back-to-back plays where the Chiefs respected the play action a little more, gave Herbert a little more pressure right as he's off that run fake. And it gives them, a stop when they needed it most. But at the same time, later in the game, actually, this might have been before this play. It was another third down, though. Let me get to it. Another third down here. So the Chiefs defense, so all game, and I wrote this in my article, but they really were, and I kind of just alluded to it, but they were really playing, some softer cover 2 zone. They were really kind of forcing the Chargers to dink and dunk. We didn't see a lot of vertical passing except and that's the thing, those Mike Williams passes, those catches he had, those were the few times they kind of left the corners in man-to-man situations. And you got to respect Herbert and credit Herbert, the Chargers, for, taking advantage of those few snaps that Fenton or Snead were locked up one-on-one with Mike Williams. But here on this third and short, they're playing their same soft cover 2 zone. Herbert's going to recognize that. Now, this is in the second half, right? So we've already seen some game experience. This game has gone on a little bit. They're going to run a mesh concept here. So you see the 2 receivers underneath the linebackers running that mesh, right, where they're crossing each other and trying to get open. But since it's zone, right, they have to adjust their routes. And mesh doesn't really work that well against zone a lot of times, especially when someone like Nick Bolton, as you can see here, comes up on that route when Mike Williams is stopping, taking that away, not allowing Williams to just stop and get that quick, easy first down. So that's good on Bolton, first of all. But also, I think Herbert recognizes that those mesh concepts weren't going to work, right? So he says, okay, they're playing soft cover 2 zone. That hook route right in the middle of the field that Gerald Everett's running going to be wide open, right? Because the safeties are playing deeper, they're playing that softer zone. Well, that's where Justin Reed comes in, and that's where the experience of playing the entire game. This is a second half adjustment. He's playing aggressive. He's not. He may make it look passive at first, but he's right on Everett as soon as he clears the linebackers. Right, you can see him start to make a play on Everett as soon as he's clearing those linebackers. He didn't go too quick, right? He didn't want Herbert to know that he was going to jump that, but he waited till the perfect moment. And he times it up great. I really do think so. I mean, his timing up of the pass breakup was great. And this was another third down stop. So, a key to this game was the Chiefs getting the Chargers into third downs and the Chiefs making those third down stops. Not all the time, but enough of the time to get off the field, especially in the second half. They forced 5 straight stops on defense. The Chargers, or the Chiefs, did. One of those was the touchdown, obviously. But this last one here, Willie Gay, Nick Bolton making plays, but I really want to highlight again something schematic Spags did, and I'm not an expert. I don't know exactly if this was the entire plan, exactly how we wanted to lay this out. But what I'm seeing is that you see Jalen Watson here at the top of the screen, locked into man coverage on Mike Williams press, right? Well, at the other half of this, we got what looks like more of a cover 2 look, right? And so you may be, splitting the field like that. Well, I think Herbert might have locked on to Williams here thinking, okay, I see Watson in man coverage. I see the safety over the top. I see Willie Gay maybe trying to cheat a little bit, but he probably has that tight end in man coverage. So I'm assuming I'm getting man, right? So I'm assuming when that route breaks over the middle, and you'll get a better view of it from the end zone angle, he thinks Willie is going to go with the tight end because he has flat responsibility. And I should have pointed that out. He thinks Willie has out here in the flat because they're in a, well, sorry, I should say he thinks he has the man out there. I should say, excuse me. He thinks he has the tight end right here in man coverage. So he thinks he's going to widen with him and not look at Herbert at all, right? Because you're in man coverage, you don't need to look at the quarterback. So he doesn't expect Gay to have his eyes on him. So he thinks this route's going to break open between Bolton and Watson right there. And this is where you can get a better look at that. But this is where Gay's playmaking comes in. And this is where, guys, we got to talk about the suspension, obviously. But Gay is supposed to have that flat coverage, right? He's supposed to have the flat because the Chiefs are actually playing a cover 2 zone with Watson manned up. But he's reading the Herbert's eyes, and he's not going to go somewhere where Herbert's not wanting to throw. He's reading the eyes like a zone defender should. And he's just following them, and it takes him right to where the ball is. And unfortunately, it actually kind of maybe takes away an interception from Nick Bolton. Although I think Gay has a better shot at it than Bolton does. Bolton might have just tipped it away, but I think this was another third down stop here, and I really think Gay's playmaking ability here is crucial because I think a standard linebacker in this situation, they might just flow it out to the flat kind of mindlessly and just allow that play to happen. But Gay is a playmaker. Gay wants to have the ball in his hands, and he's hungry for it. So I guess this is where we'll talk about the bad news, fellas, as Gay makes a play. Brian, I'll just ask you real quick. The Gay suspension comes down. You watched him on Thursday. He was all over the place. He did have a few missed opportunities, but what are your initial thoughts on what Gay's absence is going to do to the defense these next 4 weeks?
Yeah, reopening the wound there, man. I'm watching this play and realizing just, one of the many ways they're going to miss him.
Right.
But look, to your point that you just made a little bit, as good as I think he definitely is and would much, much rather have him, he did miss some tackles. And so you almost want to look at it like, hopefully whoever steps in can at least make up for that part of it, even though they're not going to be able to do what he does athletically. But I don't know. It's a long shot. But overall, I don't know. It's beautiful seeing these two backers, Bolton and Gay, and how they're kind of both maturing together. Because Bolton came into the league more ready-made, and Gay was very raw. But the timing, since Gay is a year older into the league, they are just both seemingly entering what could be really strong prime years together. And it just stinks that we're going to get cheated out of 4 games here of watching them play together, because I think it's a big reason why the defense is better, among some other reasons, but it's a big one.
Talon, any additional thoughts on just Willie Gay's suspension, what it'll do for the defense these next 4 weeks?
As far as Willie Gay, it's unfortunate. The whole situation that is stemming, that the suspension is stemming from is unfortunate. But this is a great opportunity for Leo Chenal, and maybe guys like Elijah Lee to come in certain situations to really kind of make a claim for more playing time. And Willie Gay is not losing his job over this. I don't think anybody's going to come in and light the world on fire and take his job. But I do think Leo Chenal, Elijah Lee, and maybe some others will be able to be given opportunities to shine in particular roles that they may not have been able to because Willie Gay's presence. It's going to be tough to see 50 not on the field, but I'm excited to see 54. I'm excited to see what this young guy can do. I mean, he's gotten a lot of hype. He's splashed. He's done some things here and there, but now he's going to get a real chance. All right, you've gotten some hype now. Let's go see it rep after rep. And there's going to be some growing pains. I'm sure there's going to be some stuff that Nick Bolton is going to have to be, pointing him on and showing him where to go and what to do. But, I think Leo Chenal has a really good chance of taking a big step here.
Well, you mentioned his name, so I had to throw up the clip. We're starting our rookie segment here to end the show, and we'll start with Leo Chenal. I think Leo Chenal, you talked about it, Talon, right there perfectly. He's got an opportunity now, but he got his first real opportunity in this week 2 game. The Chargers were playing a lot of 2 tight end sets. The Chiefs were matching with base personnel, meaning the 3 linebackers on the field, and Chenal got 22 snaps because of that. And I want to highlight this first play, and then we'll move on. He actually gets a little excited and jumps the gap, and it actually gets him screwed a little bit, right? Because Slater is able to come back and pin him, and it allows his gap to be open. But also what it also does, because he's such a game wrecker, is it also takes the center up and allows Bolton to free up, right? So it actually kind of, it kind of neutralizes itself out or cancels itself out. So it's kind of an example of a rookie maybe getting too excited, trying to make a play when he should just maybe, try to get to Slater's outside shoulder, right, and just be in that gap. But hey, it's good because he's so aggressive that he ends up taking the center with him, and Bolton's still there to make the play. So just wanted to get those highlights out. Brian, I know you wanted to bring up an Isaiah Pacheco play, a play that we, not the typical way a running back makes a play, but I'm glad you brought this one up. I actually highlighted my article after the game on Friday. What do you got here for us?
Right. So this is the first big successful play the offense had Thursday. And here at the bottom, Hardman and MVS, they're going to run these switch vertical routes. But really what it boils down to, like I said, these teams, they've played each other twice a year since forever. And they know that sometimes speedy receivers like Hardman, like Tyreek Hill in the past, could get them beat over across the field. They do that to a lot of teams. This is really the kind of play that keeps Hardman in the lineup because it shows something he can do that other receivers on the team can't in terms of his speed. But like you alluded to, we're going to look at Pacheco up here, okay, and his job in pass protection. Not only does he do the job, but it's particularly oppressive because he does it against Derwin James, okay? And so I'll let it play here. Mahomes, they're going to give a play action look, and Pacheco is just want to, okay? It's not picture perfect. None of us would say it is. And by the end of it, really, Derwin, get a better look at it from the end zone view here. Derwin kind of, he sheds the block, but it gave him just enough time for Mahomes to do that great job of manipulating the pocket and moving over to his left. Just enough time to make that throw, as you see there. And Hardman kind of scared us a little bit, I feel like, the way that he caught that ball, kind of the story of a lot of his targets. You just never know until you know that he's secured it. But good job by Pacheco. If he can continue to do stuff like that, he's going to earn more and more playing time. And that's tough to do because these running backs are playing really well right now. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is having the best start of a season to his career. But, the more guys playing good, the better for the Chiefs. And that's going to be a big thing as they move forward here in tougher games.
Yep. No, I really like that rep from Pacheco. Again, you mentioned it, not picture perfect, but it was the effort, it was the strength, and again, the willingness. I think it's an understated thing that a lot of playing football, a lot of even I should just maybe say blocking is just willingness, and it's really good to see a rookie have the willingness to take that on, the challenge on like that. Last rookie I want to highlight here. He actually didn't have a great game. If anyone watching, Bryan Cook's name only came up for bad things during week 2. He had 2 special teams penalties, but I'm not going to highlight those. Not going to look at those. I honestly, did you guys ever see what was I was at the game, so I honestly never saw what he actually did. I don't know if you guys don't know.
One of them, he blocked one into this. Somebody into the sideline on a punt return, and there was another one that was a little more silly, but
okay. Well, yeah, whatever. All right. Well, he's aggressive, I guess. What I wanted to highlight here, though, is just the Chiefs using Bryan Cook in this little bit of the Tyrann role, the Tyrann Mathieu role from last year, the Honey Badger role. They're going to do this with a lot of with any of their safeties. I think. I mean, I shouldn't say any of them. I think Juan is pretty much full time deep. But I do think Justin Reed, we saw a lot of him as the box or the dime safety in the preseason starting out. But here, Bryan Cook is the one closer to the line of scrimmage. And what I want to highlight is he's faking the blitz, right? But then I mentioned how the Chiefs were playing a lot of cover 2 zone. Well, it's exactly what you're going to see here. The Chiefs dropping into a cover 2 zone, and he's covering that middle of the field route, right? That seam route that's called, it's the Tampa 2 coverage. With usually it's a middle linebacker dropping to that middle of the field between the 2 safeties. Well, the Chiefs did this with Tyrann a lot last year, and just in past years. And it's just cool to see them using the rookie. And this was one of the first. I think, this was the first drive of the game for the Chargers. Maybe, it was the first drive. Yeah. So it was cool to see them do it early in the game, early in the season, kind of getting Bryan Cook into a versatile role in the defense. And maybe we'll see that role continue to grow and grow. And, as we wrap up here, I guess that is one thing with the Willie thing is I do think we'll see a lot of dime, right? Spags loves his dime defense, but this year he was definitely trusting the nickel a lot more in third down situations, more crucial situations, wanting to keep Bolton and Gay on the field together, right? Well, you don't have Gay. So I think on third downs, you're going to go back to seeing a lot more 3 safety sets, which is the dime defense. So you may be seeing a lot more of Bryan Cook over these next 4 weeks as kind of a way to supplement Willie Gay. And so that is what we got for AP Film Room today. Boys, I had a great time. Great breakdowns, man. I really thoroughly enjoyed that. Learned something from you two. I think we can all say that. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, fellas. Appreciate everyone listening. Appreciate everyone watching. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube page. We're gonna continue to do more and more with the YouTube page, especially with film breakdowns and stuff. Maybe more, maybe more breakout videos. But until the next time, I'm Ron. We got Bryan and Talon with me. I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch you next time.